I play ukulele and this is what I came up with for this podcast. So you can tell me what you think. And hello everyone, and welcome to Give Me Some Good News, the podcast about travel, hospitality, and optimism. I am here today, your host, Caleb Sullivan, with my wonderful co-host, Mr. Tyler Ford. Tyler, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I'm just ready for some great news as well. We have a great guest here today, Mr.
Some might
Greg
say the king of good
Starr.
news.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, some
Now
might
that is
say.
something. That's quite the title, Greg.
Uh, I'll take it.
Awesome.
Greg Starr, welcome to the show. I'll kind of give a brief overview. So, Greg, I've known you for a long time, and I've had the pleasure of not only getting to work for you and with you, but having you truly believe in me when I kind of began my biz dev career, and that to you I will be forever grateful for. So, Greg, go ahead and introduce yourself and just kind of tell folks what you do.
Yeah, you know, I'm Greg. I started a company called Carvertise, and we built it up to be pretty big. And then I was diagnosed with brain cancer, and so um, that was the whole thing. And then I came back and started another company called Driven Authentic Branding Solutions. That DAB, and that
Dab, that's right.
For sure.
it
Certainly clever.
one thing I saw during building Carvertise was just how valuable my personal LinkedIn account was. Um, and I started casually. I started, posting once a week. And then I started saying, "Oh, this is really working," and it was working in a few ways. One, it worked to get more clients, right? More people seeing the product we were showing and raising awareness. I think the biggest thing it did though, it made people root for me, right?
Yep.
People were rooted for Carvertise and rooted for me, and it felt like they were part of the story, right? And when that happens, you become more top of mind. People want to work for you. It becomes like this. Oh, they're doing cool stuff. I've been following you guys. Um, so it's extremely helpful. And I was like, well, why don't more people do this? And more people don't do it because they don't have time,
Yeah.
right? And then they also don't really
Yeah.
understand how to tell a story about themselves in a way that isn't bragging, right? And in a way that benefits both them and the company and the community they're working for. There's also this big misconception out there that when you think of LinkedIn, you think of, oh, let's get the company page up and running on LinkedIn. And it's like, well, the company page, no one really cares about it, right? They care about the people behind the company,
Yeah.
right? You get 8 times more engagement from a personal post than from a company post, right?
Hmm.
If I posted something and Carvertise posted something, my post would perform way better, right?
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on getting the company page up, you should really be focusing on getting the people at the company to start posting content. Right? That's what really moves the needle. So all that I saw, and I was like, okay, let me start this company to essentially do it for people because
Yeah.
they don't have time, they're not sure how to do it, and I'm really good at it, and I like doing it.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit
And
about me.
I love that, Greg. I think that's really cool. And I've not really done LinkedIn until this year personally. And yeah, I've noticed a little bit of an uptick. The job I got now, I actually got through networking on LinkedIn. So that's pretty awesome. Um, One thing I've been thinking about, I had this game in mind prior to this, is it's like an authenticity game because we all know about just how ChatGPT and just the world of AI is taking writing by storm, right? You see the post, you see the dashes of,
Those
and
long
I was
dashes. Yeah.
wondering, what I wanted to do was like create a game with an expert like Greg, to where I showed you like two posts. Which one do we have a human writing, and which one do we have AI writing? And
Hmm.
I just couldn't figure out how to make the game work on I don't know, I just couldn't figure out how I could really do that without like trying to speak out some long,
Yeah.
boring, semi-irrelevant post for the podcast. So I chose not to do that, but I do like the idea of opening this discussion on just authenticity and its importance one for destinations, but two just for building your personal brand. So, Greg, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as you've seen LinkedIn grow and shift from, I don't know, just enter into this Chat GPT era of less authentic writing. Like, what do you think about all this?
Well, LinkedIn used to be just like what it's like it was a resume. It was an online resume, right?
Mhm.
And people would update it with new jobs. But the very nature of a resume is changing, right? Um, Now, LinkedIn is, I would say, it's like a living, breathing documentation of what you can do and what you can bring to an organization, right? And every post, it adds currency to your personal value. So when you do apply for a job, your resume, paper resume, will go to the front of the stack, the top of the stack, because the CEO already knows you, right?
Mm,
And that's huge, right? I think eventually the paper resume is gonna go away. It's just like, oh, apply on LinkedIn. What's their LinkedIn account like? I have all the information from that. I can see their
Yeah.
type of thought process. Um, and that, the top 4% of content creators on LinkedIn only post once a week, right? So it's wide open, but the vast majority of people don't create any content for themselves. So that's the first thing. Second thing with AI is I say AI, there's a race to the have you heard of the race to the bottom phrase? Have you heard of
hmm.
that?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
AI is I say it's a race to the mediocre middle, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm,
Right, because
I love
everyone
that.
it sounds the same.
Yeah,
So, and it sounds professional, sure, but you can tell when something is Chat GPT written, right?
for sure.
So, my view on AI though is that it can be a very useful tool for content, but it can't create content, right? Like it can
Mhm.
organize content for you, but it can't create for you. And you have to
Yep.
create by telling a story and finding what the angle is and what people will find interesting. And then AI can help organize that, but it comes from the human first, right? There needs to
Yep.
be a human touch point at the beginning and at the end of every AI interaction. Um, so that's how I think. It's just when people, oh, I got to post on LinkedIn. Let me plug this into
Mhm.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can tell, right? It
yeah.
has to be thought
Mhm.
out, and um, but if used correctly, it can accelerate your output.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
I like this concept of, you kind of brought it up, but this uncanny valley, right? Like where AI, even in there's Sora in videos, but even in writing, I think us as humans can tell when it's coming from the heart or the brain versus whether it's coming from ChatGPT or Perplexity or what have you. Um, I've noticed in my LinkedIn usage a couple of things. One, LinkedIn was very important to my career. It has been very important to my career growth, and I use it strategically and I set time aside for it. And you kind of spoken to a lot of professionals don't set time aside. I have seen returns, obviously, in you and I being connected on LinkedIn, me getting my job with you through Carvertise. Um, with this kind of shift with authenticity and being authentic, I have found that posts that I do that are personal always outperform professional. And I would say anywhere from 2 or 3 to 1. I mean, it is wild. Anytime I post about my son, anytime I post about my family, one of my favorite posts is, "Hey, I didn't work at all this week, and I went on a family vacation." And the importance of disconnecting and actually ironically enough, connecting into LinkedIn to share that experience. What are your thoughts on cadence around personal to professional, blending the two? Like what does that look like for you high level?
Yeah, I say it's like a Venn diagram, right? There's your personal brand and the company brand, right? And where they intersect is where you want to be. You
Mm,
want to be where the
Mhm.
magic happens, right? Now, having said that, I broke my own rule because I posted all about my cancer experiences and,
Yep.
um, so normally I like to have like maybe a small percentage that is just personal, right? that is just
Okay.
humanizing. Otherwise, that I try to put a personal twist on things that my company is doing, right? I look at
Mhm.
LinkedIn more, it's like a professional diary, right?
Yeah.
Where you're putting observations, thoughts behind your professional life. So it's a professional life with a personal twist, right? Now, having said that, there is this like I say, 5%, maybe 10% of like straight personal stuff. I posted about, what I think caused my cancer. I'm going to do another post about my wedding speech pet peeves, which is like totally separate, but like I can't stand it when I'm at a wedding. And
Yep.
people people say, but seriously, like oh my,
Yeah.
every speech, I'm like,
Yeah.
um, of course they're gonna know when you're serious. Why do you
Right.
have to? But like everyone's anyway. So yeah, I think there's a lane for that, right? And but it's like a recipe, It's a little
Mhm.
bit of this, a little bit of that. Um, I think there's times when people go too far on their personal side, where it becomes a little bit cringe.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then they try to relate
That's
it.
easy to do on LinkedIn. The cringe meter is like, I don't know,
Yeah,
it's easy to pass. So you got to find the line for sure.
exactly. You got to find the balance. You don't want to be cringe.
Yep.
You don't want to be, but you don't want to be too corporate. The whole point of LinkedIn is to humanize yourself and
Mhm.
feel like people know you without actually meeting you,
Yeah.
right? Or getting people who you met only once or twice to really feel like they know you better than just a once or twice interaction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Have you seen that line change over these past couple of years, maybe since you started at Carvertise or started Carvertise? 'Cause I feel like there's this vibe within LinkedIn that is just so different now as everyone races to mediocrity. Has that changed though in adding in the personal touch also grown?
Definitely. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like it's way more present than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago,
Hmm.
especially. But yeah, business always changes. And part of what I say, I call it's like the Trump effect almost, right? Like when Trump won in 2016, he broke every good or bad, right? He broke every rule.
Sure.
But what he did was he used social media to talk directly to people, right? So he bypassed traditional media outlets, right? And you see that same thing going on LinkedIn, where instead of reading about a company, why can't I just hear it straight from the CEO, right?
Mm.
Or hear it straight from the people who work there? That's much more interesting to me. And that's also this idea that it's much more legitimate, right? If it's someone I can trust or someone who's been building their profile up. So, that's another kind of point is that I think PR agencies are really missing out on what modern PR is, right? Like traditionally and currently, most PR is you have a news and you put out a press release and you put a picture and maybe gets picked up by a couple of publications.
Yeah.
But there's no LinkedIn strategy with any sort of press release. Like any sort of press release should have all the executives on their LinkedIn commenting about something new that's happening and posting about it and putting their perspective. The employees who worked on it should also have something to say about it. So if you have 10 employees posting on LinkedIn, you might get 100,000 views, right? Maybe one of them hits a big, or let's say 50,000
Mhm.
views. And if something gets picked up in the newspaper, what do you think that publication of readership is? Like 20 or 1,000, 20, 30,000, maybe 10,000.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
like, it's interesting to me uh, that PR agencies have not caught on to it's not just a press release, it's a whole LinkedIn strategy that has to complement it.
Wow. And so with that LinkedIn strategy, do you think that is for specific corporations or is it also for destinations? Is it every single company should, in your opinion, adopt something like this?
Yes. Yes.
Brilliant.
I think destinations in particular, there's so much you hear about nobody knows what we do. Nobody knows why it's
Advocacy. Yep.
right.
Mm.
And it's like, well, you guys are missing out on a major opportunity because there's what I call offline advocacy, right? Which is what you see when you go to all these conferences. They're all talking about how to get on the legislators and what to say when you're presenting to your board and stuff like that. Like, great. You're missing, uh, 50% of the equation, I would say. Like, if I'm a CEO on LinkedIn, a DMO CEO, and I want to show that my destination is important for the community and that we need more funding, I would be posting at least 3 times a week about all the impact that we're having in the community. Advocacy is not like a one-time thing. It's a 24/7 kind of activity, right? So I'd be posting about that. And also, you need to show people you're working,
Yeah.
right, on behalf of their community. So even odds are you are working hard. Most demo CEOs work very hard, right? But if you're not showing the business community that you're working hard, then like you're losing half the battle,
Yeah.
right? So what I would be doing is taking pictures of every meeting I've had, talking about what I learned, talking about how much I admire that person. And when you do that, they become part of the story. And all that stuff adds up to when it's end of the year and your budget needs to be renewed. You're talking, well, I need a 20% increase. You've seen all the good work I'm doing, right? Like look at how much more we can do.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. And I also think that for me personally, Greg, um, my personal social media and my professional social media presence on LinkedIn have kind of grayed out a little bit. So one of the things I like to do is I like adding people I meet at conferences on Facebook, right? I like following them on Instagram. Like I truly believe in what I call the friendship economy, and I think on this side, especially in the DMO space, that friendships and business partnerships kind of coexist in this weird gray area in the middle. Do you think that there's some validity to also doing something like this on your personal social media, but within maybe a different a different cadence, right? Like being specific, like you don't want to be posting on Facebook like you're posting on LinkedIn, but hey, we landed a new client or we have this awesome case study,
Hmm.
and just kind of leveraging personal social as well.
Yeah, that's a great question, Caleb. Yeah.
Yeah, I think totally. I think the main point though, I think that's great. The friendship economy, I think that's a great term. Um, the main point, I have always felt the best salespeople can merge their personal lives and professional lives, right?
Yeah.
Your clients are your friends, you know, and that is going to be even more key as AI comes and there's a commoditizing of services in some extent.
Yeah.
So using social to help grow that friendship and grow those relationships, totally. It's a must do, right? If I had a company and we had this at Carvertise when I was there, like we had about like 5 or 6, including you, like salespeople on our team, like they were friends with their clients and they were like the top performers, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, like, and that's the whole angle that a lot of companies are trying to pursue, but they're missing that other. They're only pursuing it in conferences and in-person
Yeah.
events. They don't have the social media aspect, but the social media aspect helps a ton.
Yeah, and I've got
Hmm.
one more kind of thing to add to that, and then Tyler, I'll kick it to you. But
No.
Patrick Harrison, I would consider a good friend both in and outside of work. To me at Visit Tampa Bay, he posted this brilliant short in his British way, just very pointed LinkedIn post. It was like, hey, I get a million solicitations a day. Stop emailing me, essentially was the gist of it. I looked at it, I commented, I said, every new salesperson needs to see this. It's about, do you have a friendship or valid business case? If you don't have those two things, don't waste your time reaching out. That was my strategy when I was doing biz dev at Carvertise was I'm just going to make
It's
friends
a
with
good post,
people.
Caleb, by
That's
the way.
it. Yeah. I mean, there you go. Look, I'm cooking it up right now. But
That's honestly
No,
what
for
I
sure.
do. People are like, how do you
Yeah.
ghostwrite for people? And I'm like, well, really, I use their words, you
yeah,
know. I don't want to
Yeah.
say I don't do anything, but like I don't do that much, you know. Like I interview them, and then from just getting them to speak, it's like the economy, the friendship economy is a post in itself, right? What
yeah,
you just said is a post in itself, right? And all I do is take that and I rearrange it.
yeah.
Sorry, I
No, that's great. That's great.
but
Tyler,
No, and
anything?
Caleb, I want to piggyback off of that because that's something that I'm excited about. So right now, I'm 2 weeks into my new job as a BDR, 1 week into actually booking meetings and all that. And one of my new favorite pitches that's not even a pitch,
It's
and it
brilliant.
worked. I did it this morning and landed a meeting this morning, and then went through the meeting, and it's a great account for us. And then I've got a couple more on the way with this, but it's like what you said. All I said was, I'm just gonna use names. Hey, John, what are you doing with low voltage for shoe show?
Boom.
That's it. I didn't say, hey, I'm Tyler with ASD. This is like what we do.
Because
This is
there's no
what we could
friendship,
offer.
so you just pitched a
I just
valid
like
business reason.
I
It's
just
one of
saw
those two
this guy was
things.
building up a new store in Texas and said, hey, what are you doing with this? Just ask the question. I'm not going to pitch you. I'm not going to try to. I just, hey, what are you up to? What are you doing? And
Yeah.
it worked. I'm not positive how much this is going to continue to work, but 1 week in, it's been doing pretty well for me so far. So I loved what you said. You said it was Patrick had a post about like, hey,
Yep.
stop coming at me with your millions of your pitches and stuff.
Yeah.
I know that because that's where I came from. Literally 3 weeks ago, I was getting those pitches all the time
Yeah.
to try to buy more material, and I kind of like crafted how I want to go talk to people, talk to potential clients based off of those. And like, okay, I always like when people are just like so simple, tiny, quick little email, a quick
Yeah.
message, and it's like, what's up, man? Like,
And sometimes
you
that's all it
covered, you,
takes.
you need a product, or you covered with this, or you just here's a little question. But yeah, anyways, piggybacking off of that, I
That's
love that it
brilliant.
was
It's like I
Patrick that
said,
said
if
to do that.
it's either you have a friendship or a
Mhm.
valid business
Or a
reason,
valid business reason. That's the
or
thing. And
both. And the like in your line of
yeah,
work, Tyler, you're not going to get both off the cuff, right? In
no,
my line of work, fortunately, I'm pretty well known, and I genuinely like my passion in life is making friends
yeah,
and talking. I'm good at those two things. I got in trouble for it at school all the time. I talk
yeah.
about this constantly on
It's true.
LinkedIn.
You did.
All the time. Tyler was there with me, watching me get in trouble
I
in
was like,
school for
oh, look,
talking
Caleb's in trouble again.
all the
He's
time.
talking.
So I literally just use those strengths in my world now. And so fortunately, I do have a valid service to provide to my friends. Tyler's in the position now to where his biz dev strategy is simplicity, business reason. That's it. I know you're doing this.
Yeah,
Here's a question.
yeah.
And that's
This
the end
is
of it.
yeah. I know. No, I've loved that. It's been so. We'll see
Yeah.
how it works out for me. But right
Yeah,
now,
well,
it's
we'll revisit it in the
yeah. We'll
future.
revisit it. This is day like what 4 of
Yeah, day
this,
four doing
but
this. You've been doing pretty good though.
yeah. So
So
we're doing all
Greg,
right.
I guess, kind of rounding this out a little bit, we've talked a lot about LinkedIn, the importance of personal branding in the professional world. If you had to give, DMOs or just business leaders one takeaway or like one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say it would be just start. I would say just start.
Mm,
Like, that is
love
the,
that.
you guys are fitness guys. Like, just start.
Yeah.
Just
You can
start.
fix things as you go. Um, People get analysis paralysis. They just, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Just start getting the
Yeah.
motion of putting your thoughts down on paper, and you'll figure it out if you stick with it, like most things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's that commitment. So
It's brilliant. And that's funny. So that's the mission of our
That's a great.
podcast, which is why Tyler pointed at me because, I was
Yeah.
told by another entrepreneur in our space, just start. Like just go. Like just you don't need permission to do things, just do. It is kind of what I was told.
well, there's a line. There's a line
There is
between.
a line. There is a line.
Hold
Like,
on.
No, I'm
yeah,
saying there's a line of, I would say 80% don't cross that line,
yeah,
right? And the
Mhm.
20% that do, are the end up being the doers, right?
Yep, for
Um,
sure.
and they're not even like it's nothing to do with intelligence. It's nothing. It really is nothing. I've seen some absolute morons like cross that line and be successful.
Yeah.
It's just the
I
willingness to
know.
cross that line.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
well, Greg, one of my favorite quotes, I've made a post on
Oh my
this,
God,
is
it's so
be
good.
biased towards action.
Yeah.
That you told me, I don't even know if you remember telling it to me because you weren't like setting up a quote or anything. You just said it. Like that is killer. I wrote it on a sticky note, stuck it on my in my office. I was like, be biased towards action. And then sometimes I would like question whether or not to do something, whether I don't know, just
Paralysis
like, is
analysis.
this
Yeah.
ready yet? Is it whatever? And it's like, you know what? Darn it. I'm just gonna be biased towards action. Just boom, just do.
Love that.
It's worked out really well. I love that quote. So thanks for that, Greg. That's
Yeah,
been
I didn't come up with it, but
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I'm glad it.
you've been
We attribute
credited
it,
it, so
Tyler and I
I
both
credit
attribute
you
you with that.
I'm
for
glad it
pretty
resonates.
often.
I'm glad it
Yeah.
resonates.
And
It's come up a
last,
few times.
yeah, it
So
has. In our conversations, it's come up a few times. And Greg, last but not least, give us some good news in your world.
Um, well, I'm healthy, which is like really good news.
The best news, I
It's
would
the,
say.
the best news that people take for granted a lot.
Yeah.
And so I always go back to that, and my business is doing well that I just started. Um, I've got really good clients and testimonials, and so I just feel good. But good news is a mindset. Like
mm,
um, so it's important to just have that, and that's I'm writing a book, and that's a lot of what my book's about. Is it's about this concept of proneria, right? Which
Yeah.
is the opposite of paranoia. Paranoia is everything's out to get you. And proneria is like you're like a bow and arrow, and you're being pulled back when life can throw at you, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but it's all just you're being pulled back to fly forward. And
Yeah.
if you have that mindset, then there's always good news, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
God, another great Greg quote. Well, Greg,
I know.
thanks for joining us today. I always like to ask, where can people find you if they're interested in learning
LinkedIn.
more? Wow.
No surprise.
Well, here's what's really fun.
That's your pet. That's
Tyler,
mine too.
where can
Yeah.
people find you?
Find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And folks, if you want to find me, my name is Caleb Sullivan. I work with Paradise Advertising. You can find me at csullivan@paradiseadv.com, or you can also find me on LinkedIn. And this has been some good news.